Welcome to Behind the Doors, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of residential real estate investing. I'm your host, Dan Noma Jr., here with my co-host, Marvin Cruz.
We're here to help you unlock the best strategies and practice for investors. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro looking to scale your portfolio.
We've spent decades navigating the ever-changing world of real estate, and now we're sharing everything we've learned to help you succeed.
From off-market deals to cash flow management and everything in between, we'll break it down and bring you actionable insights that can make a real difference in your investments.
So get ready to open the door to new opportunities and take your real estate investing to the next level. Let's dive in.
All right, call in all real estate agents. That's who I want to talk to just for a second. So, what I'm learning more and more about real estate is you need a team to be successful, right? You need data, but you also need a team. Yeah. And you need a team that needs to understand your goals and what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And, we're always going to need real estate agents, right? They're not going anywhere.
No.
And they play such an integral part in success. But one of the things I want agents to realize, and I want you to touch on this, is how are you helping your investors? How are you helping them find real estate, right? And so let's just talk a little bit about that. Why is it so important for agents to be a tool and help investors find real estate?
Yeah, I think it's two sides, right? Yeah. I mean, they're not just serving by having like their investment radars up. They're not necessarily just serving their investors. They're also serving their customers and their clients, the sellers, the property owners that they're moving on, right? And so I think really what we're talking about is like identifying good investment opportunities and keeping up to tabs on like what makes a good investment opportunity versus what doesn't. So if you're going to meet with a home seller, right, what the normal practice is like someone calls, get a lead, Zillow, whatever, got a lead. I want to sell my home. Okay, cool. I'm going to come to your property. I'm going to give you an assessment of the value, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to sell your property. That's like the most common way to do it. They show up to the house, and they've done some market research to better understand what the property, would be worth. And then they generalize the condition because they don't know it yet. And then when they get to the property, then they usually nail down like, based on the property condition, here's what I think we should list the property for.
Right.
What gets lost in that though, right, is, what if that property had a different value to an investor? Like there was a time in the market where we were paying 110% of fair market value for real estate because rental rates had gone up so fast and so much faster than home price appreciation. So as a result, we were willing to pay more than market value for the properties just to own them because we knew we were still going to get the cash flow.
Yep.
If you as an agent don't know those things and you're just like, you're looking at it strictly from a sales perspective, you're actually doing your customer a disservice because the property there are two values for every piece of real estate, right? There is a retail value and then there is an investment value for that real estate.
Yep.
And those two things are vastly different. And if you as an agent should just know what both are. If you're going on one of these appointments, you should just know what both of those values are because that could be advantageous to your seller to sell to an investor.
Yep.
Or it could be advantageous for them to sell to a retail home buyer, but you got to know their situation, right? And you got to know what the reason is of why they're selling, right? What's the motivation for them to sell? What is their situation, right? Because distress, like we talk about this all the time, is like, we make thousands of offers in a week, and distress shows up in all different forms.
That's right.
It doesn't show up as physical all the time. Like when you pull up to the house and the lawn could be like immaculate. You go inside and you could eat off the floor, right? And, the people are nice and kind, like they don't show any signs of distress. But then you start peeling the onion and you find out, well, they're behind on their mortgage payments by 3 months. Or, they've missed their last 2 car payments, credit cards are starting to go bust. Husband lost his job. Like distress shows up in different ways, and because of that, you got to be willing to pivot and you got to be willing to know what all those opportunities are. So if you go meet with that seller and you just show up with comps to sell the property retail because you think that's what they want, you kind of are losing part of what is possible out there. Probably 9 times out of 10, you're right.
Yeah.
Right? But those few instances that you're not becomes an opportunity for you to jump on as an investor yourself, sell that property to investors, have a network of them, or have a company like Easy Street where you can send that property to, generate that cash offer. Like the thing that we stress all the time with agents is the fact that they should be the Travelocity of real estate, right? Show up to the consumer's door with your go-to-market strategy plus your cash offers, because now you're solving for any possible solution that they might have. Any problem that they might have, you've got an option to potentially solve for it. And then you remove that consumer doubt at the kitchen table by doing so, So it's not like we meet, if I was to meet you as a seller and you go, well, I just lost my job, I'm 2 months behind on the mortgage, blah, blah, blah. Well, all of a sudden now I'm looking at the market and I'm going, well, it's going to take 90 days to sell a house. We may not make it. The only real option there is to sell the property to an investor, or help these people in another way. But like, that's your only real option. And if you weren't prepared with that going into the conversation, you now have to come back. Don't be the guy that has to come back because they'll find someone else that's quicker on that draw. You know what I mean?
And you know what? You remind me of my favorite realtor. He's out in Texas, and what makes him awesome, it kind of alludes to what you're saying, he listens. Whether we're buying or selling, he sits down with us and goes, why are you looking to sell? What's going on? Talk to me. And it isn't because he's trying to get the best deal. He's trying to make the best situation, to your point. That same property doesn't mean the same to me or you. We're different, right? When we're buying, what are you guys looking for? What don't you like about your house today? So that way I'm not wasting your time on finding the right property or the right investment. And so again, maybe your investor is looking at cash flow very differently. Maybe they need quick cash, or they're just a fix and flip. By the way, maybe they'd even need lending. How are they going to fund this home? You can help them in so many ways in finding those right opportunities. One episode we talked about investing outside your backyard. But if you sit down with your client, I think what I hear you saying is ask questions, listen, and then we apply and find the right opportunities.
And do some research, right? Like, I think a big question you could ask of every listing presentation you go on is, will this property generate steady cash flow as a real estate investment? Because that answers your question of like whether or not it would be a good rental property. 100%. So now you can eliminate that as an option or include it. The second one is like, what's the condition of the asset? If the property condition is like perfect, well, then it's probably not a good option for a fix and flip opportunity, right? If maybe it was just renovated. So you can start to eliminate those things too for your sellers and go, look, like, our buyer profile to buy this property looks like this. Very predictable. Like it's always very predictable. So I think it comes down to like geographics too, right? You got to know where these opportunities lie or where people are looking for those opportunities. So, where is this property in relation to schools? Where is this property in relation to jobs? Where is this property in relation to like amenities, growth areas, new developments, improving infrastructure? I think it's funny though when agents advertise real estate on like an MLS or something and they'll say, this property is in a booming area. Well, some people don't want to live in a booming area, right? But like investors are interested in that, right? So it's like you're speaking investor language to retail buyers. Be careful. Like, make sure you're talking to your right audience, know your profile, know your seller situation and talk to them. Like talk to that person because you know who your buyer is going to be. It's easy to figure out.
Man, I got a story on that real quick. So first time I moved to Texas, they were telling me that booming area. You should buy here. There's going to be an IKEA here, and there's going to be this big old mall. And I was like, that's the last thing I want to buy. And he was like, what? I was like, I don't want all that traffic, right? At the end of the day. But if you think about how agents really can help identify the right, what's funny? It's funny, but you started with listening. Ask your client questions first. You're doing it reverse. You're not going out to look for property. You're asking what's important to them. Then you go find the right property and apply some of that logic and data that you're talking about.
And then know what markets like are happening, right? Like, I mean, the quickest calculation you can do is come up with like an NOI number, right? You can figure out what the net operating income of any piece of real estate is by just figuring out what the rental rate is, annual rental rate divided by purchase price. That's now going to give you a cap rate. with that cap rate number, you now know if that's a good cap rate or a bad cap rate,
Yep.
right? Like, and cap rates, I think we did a full episode, or we should, maybe,
We
if
should
we
definitely
haven't,
do. We definitely
on
should do
cap
one.
rates. But like, cap rates is just a solid indicator of the property's investability, right? And what it's telling you is like, the lower the cap rate, the less of an investment it is. The higher the cap rate, the better of an investment it is. And that's the barometer, right? So it's a quick calculation you can do on your way to the listing presentation to just know. So, I mean, if you're looking at a property and all of a sudden you've got the thing's a 12% gross cap rate. Well, geez, that's a great opportunity, right? Now to put that asset in front of a bunch of investors. Like, that's a very quick way to look at that. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Doors. We hope you found today's insights valuable for your real estate investing journey.
Remember, real estate success doesn't happen overnight, but with the right tools and strategies, you can build long-term wealth and create passive income.
If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with others who are passionate about real estate investing.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips and exclusive content.
Until next time, keep unlocking new opportunities, and we'll see you on the next episode of Behind the Doors.